How many have I done? This will be 210. And I've got a couple that are already recorded that I haven't posted yet. One of them is with our neighbor, Patrick, across the way there. So this is 210. What you're listening to, we're not listening to it. But what you're listening to is Oatmeal by Sky Daddy Conwell, and the Pop Rocks. That is a song that an instrumental that I have used as an opening with Sky's permission over the years because I really like it. It's a really cool guitar-driven instrumental called Oatmeal. And I don't know that I've ever asked him why he called it Oatmeal. But I like it. The reason why I'm using that right now is because the episode you're about to listen to, number 210, was recorded at the Back Alley Wine Bar on Prescott's Whiskey Row. And when they say the Back Alley Wine Bar, they are not lying. You go in the alley behind Whiskey Row where all those restaurants, the Palace, Matt's, the Birdcage, the Grand Highland Hotel, all that stuff where they back up against the alley. And in this little doorway, which used to be a storage room for one of the businesses, is the Back Alley Wine Bar. And it is a cool little spot. It's only been open a few months. And Sky Conwell plays there on a pretty regular basis. They've recently started doing some live music in there with the likes of Sky Conwell. Who else is there? Chris Berry, the Swamp Poets, the Electric Swamp Poets, and Buffalo Star, featuring Dennis Bennett, a former guest of this show. So I felt it was kind of fitting to put the intro of this episode with some Sky Conwell music. Sky Daddy Conwell. Sorry, Sky. So that is Oatmeal that you heard. You're going to hear that same thing on the outro. Now, the guests for today are Brad and Jen Bergamini. They are the owners and founders of the Bergamini Group, local realtors who employ a friend of the show and friend of mine, Mr. Matt Hinshaw, who you've heard on here many times in the past. And we've been trying to hook up with Brad and Jen for a while now to record, and it just hasn't happened. We've just been busy, so we finally got it done thanks to the help of Mr. Hinshaw of the Real Film Nerds podcast. And we did that because I just wanted to hear from them, hear their story, hear a little bit more about them than what I have heard. They have both were born or raised anyway. Brad was born elsewhere but moved here when he was like a year and a half. But they were raised in this area. They've chosen to keep it home and raise their own kids here. They've started their businesses here, and they continue to thrive in this community. They've seen a lot of changes in the Prescott area. We talk about that. We talk about why they're still here, what they're up to, and how they weathered the downturn in the late 2000 and 2008, 2009, 10, and how they kept their business afloat, and they're still thriving. I just wanted to hear more about what it was like in the decades ago Prescott area. So you'll hear a little bit about that. We are sitting, when I say we, it's me and, here, come on over, slide over. Anthony Santos. Say hey, Anthony.
Hey.
He is sitting next to me on our bench in our backyard with the lights out on a warm Friday night. We're listening. What do you hear? What do you hear, Anthony?
Crickets chirping, basically.
You know what I hear besides crickets? I hear you eating popcorn. That's what we're doing out here. Is we're eating popcorn, looking at the stars, looking at the few lights we can see of Chino Valley from our backyard. It's a beautiful night. We're sitting out behind our home in Chino Valley, so it felt...
I've seen over 20.
You see over 20? Good job. You can count higher than me by about 18. We are... We are sitting at our home. We appreciate our home. We like our home. We love our home, huh, Anthony? Don't you like our home?
Yep.
So we figured since we're sitting here enjoying our beautiful Chino Valley home up atop a little hill on the west side of town, looking at the lights and the stars and hearing the crickets, that's a good intro for the Bergamini Group and how they can help you find a home as well. So check them out. I don't know, the websites, he listed a bunch of them. Pretty much anything that has the word Prescott in it, Brad owns. He does. Also, check out our sponsors. We spent a little bit of this afternoon over at Big Daddy's Barbecue listening to Leslie Earl, Not a Serial Killer Lyman, playing some music out in the patio every Friday during the months that allow it. Friday nights from 5 to 7 on the Tiny But Mighty stage at Big Daddy E's Barbecue in Chino Valley is live music by the likes of Sky Conwell, Darren Mahoney, Dennis Bennett, Chuck Hall's been out there, Leslie Earl Lyman, a great lineup of musicians out there every Friday afternoon, and some of the best barbecue you will ever taste, no matter what part of the country you're from. BDEBBQ.com is where you can find out information. Search them on Facebook under Big Daddy's Barbecue and Catering. Also brought to you this week by our good friends at Select Automotive. We mention it in the tail end of the episode, but please just search them on Facebook. Select Automotive in Chino Valley at Lantana Plaza. They saved our behinds, Anthony, last week. They took care of us on an emergency breakdown while I was headed to a job in Phoenix, and they take care of us. They always do. So I'm a big fan, as you know, of supporting local artists, local businesses, local musicians, and the like, and of course the local folks that take care of other local folks. Avery over at Select Automotive in Chino Valley, and Frank. And you know what? Honestly, Anthony, I think Frank's the brains of the outfit. Sorry, Avery. Frank, I think, runs the place. Select Automotive at Lantana Plaza in Chino Valley. They are the official, unofficial sponsor of today's podcast, along with Big Daddy's Barbecue, BDEBBQ.com. And who else? Oh, the Amazon link. Get that Amazon link at milehighshow.com. Click on it and do all your online shopping, and we get a little piece of the action, and it allows us to keep this home and keep Anthony and popcorn. Without that Amazon link, Anthony, we cannot afford to buy you all of the popcorn that you eat on a daily basis. So
I only eat it at night.
you eat it every night. So what else?
Popsicle night.
Popsicles, popcorn, and popsicles. You can't live without the pops. The three pops in our house: pop, me, popsicle, and popcorn. Those are the three pops you cannot live without. So enjoy your summer, enjoy your evenings by going out and listening to some great music, meeting some great people, supporting the businesses that support local artists and local folks in the community, like the Bergamini Group. They sell houses. Like Big Daddy E's BBQ, they feed poor podcasters and poor musicians. And Select Automotive in Chino Valley at Lantana Plaza, where they can keep your vehicle running. They keep our mobile studio running, the Mile High Show mobile studio. So sit back, enjoy my conversation with Jen and Brad Bergamini, recorded at the Back Alley Wine Bar on Prescott's Whiskey Row. And I tried really hard, Matt Hinshaw, not to make fun of you, but, you know, I can't help it. I gotta make fun. Gotta make fun of that Hinshaw guy. I did. He did not like it. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Matt was asking about, do we have a plug? Do I have anything that we need to plug?
Because we're going to get to plugging the business and everything else going. But if you have anything that you guys are involved with, any organizations, any like fundraisers or anything, because I know you guys are pretty involved in the community.
Yes, definitely the PUSD Education Foundation. We have a golf tournament on Saturday.
So
I
we'll
think
put
we
this
still
up.
have a few more spots.
I'll make sure this is up like before tomorrow afternoon. So we're recording actually on Thursday in the Back Alley Wine Bar. I spent a lot of time in back alleys, and they don't serve Thunderbird here. So my wine tastes aren't there. They are located at 156 South Montezuma, kind of behind and next to the Birdcage. It's a neat spot. I hadn't been here. They've been running a lot of live music here, so a lot of friends of the show and past guests have performed here. Buffalo Star is coming up. That's Dennis Bennett. He used to play with Darren Mahoney. Great guitarist. And the Swamp Poets. You guys know the Swamp? You know Chris Berry?
I don't.
He's with the Northern Arizona Blues Alliance. Very interesting guy, Chris Berry. And he's played with like every blues outfit around here. Anyway, he's just an interesting guy. Very, a lot of stories. A lot of stories that guy has. Some of them are even true.
That's what I like about Prescott is you get these musicians that are out of this world, sitting in our little town, and you just walk in, no cover, and listen to them play.
Chris used to play with a lot of guys in the Bay Area way back in the late '60s, early '70s. That's where he was based out of, and he's got some pretty intense stories about the guys from Journey and Santana, and everything that he used to play with. Yeah, we can wait. Does she got to take a call?
No, I'm good.
And she, being Jen, and he being Brad, the Bergaminis. I got lots of questions for you guys.
Well, shoot.
A lot of it has to do with your hiring practices, but we'll talk about that later. No, you get a lot of plugs. You get a lot of plugs on the show because this fella sitting next to me, a good friend of mine, Matt Hinshaw, handles what exactly is your exact title?
Alcohol.
Alcohol. No, I saw it on your email. I forget what's the official. Creative coordinator, social media, photos, media, all kinds of good stuff. So when he's on
IT,
here, he's on here quite a bit with me.
He puts together a desk like no one's business.
I've seen him break a couple.
He break a couple desks.
I tell people that when I'm like shooting their houses, I'll tell them if I can't figure it out, then they hire a professional.
Yeah, there you go.
So he's on quite a bit. Let's plug his show too.
Yeah. So,
Real Film Nerds,
which is pretty awesome to listen to, especially if you're a film wannabe critic. You can actually get it from Matt, whether or not it's good or not. I always ask him every day. I'm like, what should I watch? What should I not watch? And
I
he
just
gives me
never trust his answer.
Yeah, really?
You know,
He wanted me to see the Chucky movie.
I've known this guy 9 years?
Yeah.
10 years?
No, more than that. I've been in Prescott for almost 11.
Yeah.
Okay, so it just seems like long. It just seems like yesterday that I met you. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Same thing. He'll go, oh, you got to see this movie. And he tells me, do you know me at all? Have you ever known me to like that style, like that, Chucky, horror stuff? I hate it. Scares me. Keeps me up
He's
at night.
also never seen Toy Story.
Oh, yeah, that's a little known fact. He's never seen any of the Toy Stories.
Or anything like made before like 1960.
No, that's not true.
Did you tell him we recorded at their office, or was that a whole break-in
No, I think you guys
incognito thing?
I think we knew
Okay,
that.
just
Yeah,
checking.
yeah. My office
I
is
didn't
right
want to
there.
out you or nothing.
We watched it really good there. Yeah.
we watched a movie from, I forget what it was, 57, 58, something like that. And his first complaint was, oh, it's in black and white. Okay, so.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was alive before color was invented, so there you go.
I was disappointed that there was sound.
No, yeah.
That's when your kids go, was everything black and white?
Yeah.
Like, did you guys see in black and white back then?
No.
I'm like, no, that didn't work that way.
At our house, it's a little different. I've got one child, so that's way different than you guys, and we'll get to that. How many kids do you got?
6.
6 kids. What's the age span?
9 to 21.
Yeah, let my wife answer that.
9.
He doesn't.
So you were 9 when the oldest was born, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
I was.
which
how I can be 30
which doesn't
now.
sound any better than what I did.
Yeah, we were high school sweethearts, but
Yeah.
we waited until
Now,
we were married. And
I
had
have
kids.
one child at home. I have one child at home, and he is he's a 9-year-old, 50-year-old midget because he's been hanging out with old people his whole life. Sure. Up until he was like 7, all he had seen was old movies and old TV shows and stuff. His favorite show to this day is Ozzie and Harriet and Get Smart, the old Get Smart
yeah.
from the 60s.
Yeah.
Fun.
His favorite movie of all time is a John Wayne flick from like 64 or something like that. That's all he knows
Very
because
cool.
that's all. That now, recently, he's been getting into things like, what's that space movie that Matt likes? Star Trek Wars or something. I don't know. Something about robots and.
You're gonna butcher it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I just
mad
want to
real
see.
quick.
I just want to see smoke come out of his ears. But my son is. I was 43 when he was born, so he did grow up with old folks. But I, on the other hand, am the youngest of 6.
Got it.
And between my sister, who's the oldest, and she is old. When I say old, she's old, really old. She doesn't listen to this, so it's all right. There's 7 years between us. 6 kids in 7
Oh,
years.
wow.
That's the days before
That's crazy.
cable TV, Matt. If you're
Yeah.
Well,
keeping track.
I'm the last of 7, so yeah.
What's the age group? What's
My older sister is 14 years older than I am.
that's
So
that's
every 2
realistic.
years.
That's
Every 2 years.
realistic
That's
spacing.
realistic.
Now my oldest sister and my oldest brother 10 months apart.
Holy cow.
And my mom likes, he was early. Yeah, like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that doesn't
exactly.
count.
It doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's called Irish twins, by the way.
or just Mexican.
Or just very quick. Yeah. Could be. Yeah, could be.
It's eesh. Yeah, I don't know how my mom did it. Well, I guess she didn't. She's paying for it now. She's kind of lost her mind.
She doesn't listen to the show either.
No,
I hear.
no.
Okay, good.
Actually, she does. She has. I mean, you gotta enjoy the hurdles you got to face. She has dementia. She has a lot of that, and it's completely induced by her kids, I'm sure. I had a friend of mine tell me, he goes, "Yeah, I talked to your mom, and she doesn't really remember your son's name. Is she getting a little worse?" And I said, I laughed. I said, and this is 100% true. I said, it's not really her fault because when she comes over to visit, they'll play, and then I take him in the bedroom, change his clothes, bring him out. I told her we have twins, and she believed me for a couple of years.
Oh
Nice.
my god!
I think it's good for her mind. It's good exercising.
Yeah, yeah.
She goes to the bathroom. We rearrange all the furniture just to get her
Just
little,
to make it interesting.
Well, for my amusement, I think is what it's for. So we'll get some of the formalities out of the way. Sure. The business. How long you guys been around? Contact, website, all that good stuff for the Bergamini Group.
Oh, for our business. Okay. Well, we can go there real quick. I've been doing this for 17 years. My wife is a trained CPA, and she joined us how many years ago?
About 5 full time.
About 5 years.
Yeah.
She was in control of at least some of it way before then, I'm sure.
Officially joined it. Yeah.
Officially joined the team about 5 years ago. We've had the team since 2009.
2008.
2008. Okay. And so sell a lot of homes. Enjoy doing it. It's hometown for both of us. I grew up out in the Chino Valley area and went to school in Prescott and graduated from Prescott High School. Jennifer was born here, so we've been around here for a while.
Yeah. High school sweethearts, you said?
Yeah.
That's nice. That's good to hear.
So
How long you been married?
It'll be 25 years
Thanks.
in September.
Really?
Yeah.
I hit
25.
25 next April. We just hit 24.
Nice.
Yeah.
So people say, it's 25 happy years. And she goes, well, maybe like 18 or 19 happy years. There was 5 or so that, you know, here and there. But anyways, high school sweethearts. We've known each other for a long time. And, we obviously, been in business for a bit and know a lot of folks in town because, you run into your friends you went to high school with, you run into the people that you've known for a long time, and with 6 kids, you run into everybody you went to Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts with.
Yeah, because now you're linking back with those families you grew up with and their kids and Little League and all that stuff.
That's a great place to live.
Now, so where can folks find out about the business? What's website, social media?
You can go to welcometoprescott.com.
You can pretty much type in Prescott in any browser, and you own every domain with Prescott in. Yeah.
I try to do that. You know, it's very much so. Or if you can figure out how to spell Bergamini, you'll get us. You know,
Now-
if you figure out how to spell Bergamini, then you're in.
Now, how big is the Bergamini family?
I'm
And
the last,
I'll
I'm the
tell you
last of
why I'm
7.
asking.
I'm the last of 7. A good portion of them live in the area.
What about extended family?
Oh goodness!
You know, there's a Bergamini out in the Verde area
Correct.
that is not related to you.
Not related to me. And
Yeah.
every time everybody's like, how does this Brad guy?
I wanna
like,
say
he must be pretty famous because every time everybody runs into me, they know. That,
I
you
want
know.
to say school teacher or
He's a
administrator.
teacher. Yeah, he's a teacher. I don't know that he lives there anymore. He was with Sedona School District, I believe.
I met him at the what's that thing? The teacher of the year thing that.
Oh,
No,
the
it's
Yavapai
Yavapai.
County teacher.
Yavapai
Yavapai
County,
County,
yeah.
yeah.
And he was there a couple
Oh,
years
wow.
ago. It was
Okay.
not too
I've
long
never
after.
met him.
Yeah, not too long after you got hired, and we were doing pictures out there. And I see the name.
Yeah.
And I just assume, because it's not a hugely common name.
No.
I just assume. I said, are you related to Brad, the real? And before I can finish, he goes, no, not related. I know
That
you're
guy.
talking
You
about.
with a
That
hint
jerk.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the bad part is where I grew up, as the Santoses, my dad was in the middle of like 14 kids.
Okay.
Most of them boys. So from 1937, 38, when his oldest brother was in it would have been like the late 20s. When he was in kindergarten up through my youngest uncle, who graduated high school in like 63, there was a Santos in every class.
Oh, yeah.
So we were all related, and I would bump into people.
Yeah.
When they would hear my name, I would get these really angry looks. Are you related to Dickie? Yeah, it's my uncle. I hated him. There was always some kind of bad story that went along with it.
No, my father moved us here in, I want to say, 73. And so, he had his own business. And so, and his name was on the business. So,
What was the business?
it was he built gas stations. It was a petroleum business at the time. So Bennett Oil, some of the more the ones that are still around. Almost every gas station you touched at one point in time.
Oh, wow.
Put gas tanks in, and I remember doing that stuff as an early age. But he was the kind of guy that would wave at you constantly. So I got that same thing where I wave at people all the time, and I don't know who they are. So,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Now, so I know I got several years on you. So were you born here, or were you
I was
young
brought
when you
here
brought it?
at 1.5. My wife was
Okay.
born at the Yavapai Regional Medical Center. It might have been Prescott Hospital at that point in time,
Yeah,
and
I
it may
don't know
not have
what
been
it was
Yavapai
called.
at that point in time.
But all 6 of our kids were born at the same hospital.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Barely. Mason was born the year before they opened the PV hospital and moved all the
What-
kids to be
so
born
how
out
old is
there.
he?
He's 9.
Okay, yeah. So when was he? He was born on in the.
He was born on the Prescott campus, uh-huh.
Yeah, my son was one of the last little groups there too,
Yeah.
because they opened right after that. When was your son born?
October
Oh,
of 2009.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anthony was just a little bit before that. Yeah,
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
he going into 4th grade?
he's going into 4th. Yeah,
Yeah. Us too. Mason's
Yeah.
4th.
He
Yeah.
like I said, he was raised with old people. I mean, he wasn't around. All of our friends were having grandkids when he was born.
Oh,
so-
sure. Some of our friends too. Yeah.
So it's like he would be around some kids, but we live out in Chino, and it's not like you got neighbors right next to you. So he would be around kids when we'd go to friends' houses or go to the park or something. But it wasn't like he grew up with a bunch of kids, so he didn't really know how to interact with kids. So when he was getting ready for kindergarten, he's early 4. We put him in preschool just so he could know how to act, and he got along great with the staff. Did not. It took him about 6 months to get used to the kids. But I would go pick him up in the afternoon, and he'd be answering the phone, Valley Learning Center, signing parents. He's 4 years old, handing the clipboard and stuff. I looked at the administrator over there, a friend of mine, Kelly, and I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "Yeah, he was having a rough day, so we put him up here. He's doing great." And so right when he started getting really comfortable in preschool, it was almost he could have went into the kindergarten class. And we said, it took him so long to get used to it. If we switch now, let's leave him in preschool, give him his confidence. So He went in just before he turned 5 just before he turned 6 into kindergarten. But it was a really good move for him because he needed that confidence
What school
booster.
is he at?
He's at Mingus Springs out in Chino.
Okay.
We could see the roof of the school from our front
Oh,
door,
nice.
so
Wow,
it's
yeah.
it's
That's
really
really
close.
nice.
It's nice. Small. There's one class per
Yeah, it's
grade,
a small
so it's nice.
charter, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice, and he's now he's just like a normal kid. Up until he was like 7, it was like this. He's not a normal
wait.
kid.
Just wait until the
I've determined
juniors
there's
normal.
nothing
There's
such
no
as
such thing
normal.
as normal.
Well, I mean-
After 6, you're like, I don't know. It's kind of normal.
By the time he's in his teen years, I'll be like senile or dead ananyway. So we're good. I got that to look forward to.
what he'll do is he'll rearrange the furniture.
Yeah, I'm teaching him well.
Yeah.
It's like
He's
I don't
he's
care.
gonna be like, hey, so there's
go in and change
twins.
his
Yeah,
clothes.
my brother's coming in. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're like, wait a second.
this almost sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So I don't care what he does as long as he's entertained. And I don't remember, so it's all right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to hear a little bit about how we'll get into kind of how the business has changed because obviously you guys had to do, with
That's real
social
estate.
media and
Everything changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how has the area changed for you guys? What are some of the drastic changes you've seen in your life in the Prescott and Chino areas?
It may be because I grew up differently, but like I am amazed at just the culture that now exists in Prescott. When we grew up, you couldn't go down to the square and listen to music every night in the summer. There wasn't these amazing musicians that I at least remember. Maybe it's because my parents didn't do that. But I just don't remember Prescott being so culturally alive as it is today. Yeah. I love that about Prescott now. And I think one thing that's great about it is it makes my kids think Prescott is a place they want to be. When we graduated, we were like, not on your life.
We're
we were
out.
never
You'll get
ever
out.
coming back.
Yeah.
Well, clearly we were wrong.
Yeah.
What was the entertainment draw? Was it trips to Phoenix or what was?
Actually, no.
Well,
I mean, there wasn't. I mean, if you liked country music, then and 20-year-old country music, this would have been the hangout.
Gotcha.
But you wouldn't have. There wasn't a whole lot of live music. There was a little bit. Matt's has been Matt's for a long time, and so there's live music there. There was
rarely live music, though. I felt like when we were in our early college years, I was here for 2 years at Yavapai College, and I felt like there wasn't much to do as a college student or as a high school student.
Yeah.
And really all there was either partying or not partying and hanging out with your friends in your house. I mean, there just wasn't a lot of opportunity of things to do. And kids today may feel the same way. But I feel like, at least as adults and raising kids here, we can go out and do so much and see so
There's
much
options.
that they have a lot more options than when we grew up, for sure.
We have friends that are operatic singers. We have, there's...
Absolutely,
there's Yavapai College has a phenomenal...
the Performing Arts Center,
gosh, there's always something. If the other day I went to Elks and watched The Godfather. I thought that was amazing to me, and on
the big screen.
Yeah, on the big screen. I thought that was amazing, and so just little things like that. You wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Now the Elks. That's where I did see that operatic space movie. What was it called? Star Wars. Yeah, at 5 years old. That was my
Poor
experience
Matt.
there. My first big movie on the balcony there.
I'd like to make it known that I am not making fun of Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
It is
Now I
Brad,
get
his
to
boss.
Yeah, now I get to make fun
Matt
of Matt.
knew he was in trouble.
Yeah, he was in. But no, I mean, there's been a lot of changes. Some positive, some maybe not so much. I mean, when we were kids, our parents would drop us off at things like the Swap Meet, which was now the YMCA.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So at that point in time, it would be, people just brought their cars and they would, it was a flea market. And that's what you'd do on a Saturday if you had free time and maybe 3 nickels to rub together.
Well, 3 nickels could go a long way back in the olden days when Brad was a kid.
Exactly. Yeah, you can make a lot go on.
I'm going to stick a pin in. I'm going to blame this on Jen having to do business over there, but actually I was doing business over here.
That's good. That works out either way.
We'll drop an ad in there or something. We'll do a Bergamini ad right in the middle of there. He's like, no, don't put my name on this. That reminds me when we had DJ.
I remember that.
That was a frightening podcast.
I have recorded 214 episodes, 215. I have only not posted one. And that was recorded down the street from where we are right now. It was fun.
It was
a fun one to
watching it. I remember
It was
listening
fun to
it.
record, not appropriate to post.
No,
How's that?
no,
How's that for?
that's nice.
Speaking of not appropriate,
Yeah.
you were talking. No, I'm just kidding. We were talking before I hit pause about the way the area's changed and what.
Well, there's obviously growth.
Yeah.
You know,
What-
a lot of growth.
Off the top of your head, and I know this is a
You know-
weird question. Do you know what population was, say, mid '80s?
You know, I was so young I wouldn't know, but I do know that there wasn't a light in Chino Valley, and there was at least 2 cattle guards on each side of Chino Valley, like one on each side of
On the
Chino.
highway?
Yeah, on the highway. So
Was that to keep the residents in, or to
Yeah,
keep people
exactly.
out?
Yeah.
What-
I think the chickens had to stay in, and the goats had to stay in.
Right.
I don't know.
Now,
I
Jen,
left-
Prescott was home for you guys?
Yeah.
For you, your family?
I grew up here, and I left in '92 to go to ASU. And when I left, there was one light in Prescott Valley at Robert Road.
Yeah.
And when we came back in '96, there were
Yeah.
6, 7 lights. We were now playing Bradshaw in sports. Like, we never played Bradshaw in sports.
Badger
it was
playing big
such
schools out of Phoenix. and
right.
now-
We
wow.
only played Phoenix, Flagstaff. We never played Bradshaw growing up. And my kids would grow up and ask me, like, what was it like when you guys were kids? Was it a big rivalry? And I'm like, no, they were really small. We didn't get to play them. So it was such a difference. I felt like in Prescott Valley, far more than here.
Sure.
Prescott
Yeah.
has grown for sure, but just different. You know, I mean, we already were here.
The roots of Prescott go back, generations. Prescott Valley, and correct me if I'm wrong, was more of just a farming community.
Right.
Correct.
Actually, Prescott Valley would have been more. Actually, Prescott Valley was Jackass Flats. It was, the Fanes owned that space
Yeah.
for cattle, and when they developed it, it was very sparse, and so it would be more. Chino Valley was cornfields when I was a
Yeah.
kid. So I still have the barbed wire scars of running through cornfields as a kid, and the winery over there was a couple steps from our house. So we'd go over there, and the peacocks would chase us, and just little things like that. So
If you ever feel like getting back to your roots, you can go. I was over there a couple weeks ago to see our buddy, Road 1 South,
Oh, yeah.
Dwight Devlin, and a peacock chased me in the
Oh,
parking
yeah.
lot. So
They're
not
mean.
much has changed,
Yeah, exactly.
except I don't think there's much corn anymore.
No, not so much corn. The
Yeah.
corn festival, things like that. So
Right.
and
Yeah.
Jen was literally, almost downtown Prescott is where you lived.
Yeah.
You just lived
I
right
lived
off of
right off
Ruth.
Whipple.
Yeah, in Whipple.
Right off Whipple Street,
Before
and
it
right in the
connected.
middle of town. Yeah, there was no road to
Yeah.
connect it to downtown.
Yeah.
But that happened when I was at college, and we came back. And it's funny, my sisters and I were joking how we still call it a new road,
Yeah.
as if it's new.
Yeah.
And that was like in 1993.
Yeah.
Like,
And we actually pretend like we're still fairly young compared to the residents
I
of
don't know about
Prescott. So
that.
we keep on looking at it and go
Yeah.
like
I
how
like
old
to
are
think
they?
we're young.
Yeah.
They sound like they're old. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we've been here a long time, and it's funny, when we left, we didn't think we'd come back.
No.
So
I don't think.
that brings up the next question: Why? Why make it home still?
It was funny because I grew up with the Boozy family. I don't know if you're familiar, but Ron Boozy owned Asphalt Paving and Supply for many years. And his daughter was my best friend and was in our wedding, and I was in her wedding, and he needed an accountant to come up and be his CFO.
Gotcha.
And I was 23 at the time, and I moved up. He offered us a job, and we talked about it for a long time. Should we move back? Should we move back? And we moved back, and the day I started, the CFO that was retiring looked at me and said, "I'm not leaving now because you're only 23." So for a few years, she just would not move on, and Ron had started several other businesses that I was running for him, but
Gotcha.
we knew we needed to transition. So I got a new computer software, and the old CFO didn't want to learn it. So there we go. I got to be the CFO. But then he sold the business in 2003. And so then we moved on but we stayed here in town. But it's really the thing that brought us back to Prescott was the opportunity for me to have a job to do that.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was bartending.
Yep.
I was like, I can bartend anywhere, and
And I was still going to school at this time.
Where were you attending bar?
Oh, geez.
Is it
Gosh.
still around?
So So
Some
I
of them we
think
don't talk about.
So what's interesting is, believe it or not, a bartender was a prized possession job, and probably still is. I don't know, but getting a job in Prescott, Arizona, as a bartender, even though I'd been a bartender for a long time, I was still in my early 20s. What we were 23 23, 24?
Yeah, 23
Yeah,
when
23,
we moved
24
back.
when we moved back. So, interestingly enough, I'd been bartending since I was 19. Yeah.
I got my first bar back job when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
They thought I was 18.
Yeah.
And then
That was
I
back
was
before they
tending.
asked for ID.
Everything was under the table.
Yeah.
Including some things that we won't discuss.
Yeah.
And started pouring drinks at like 17, 18.
Sure.
And it turns out the owner of the bar told me later, he goes, the only reason I hired you is because you're here every day. I thought if you worked here, you'd call in sick every once in a while. I wouldn't have to look at you. And it did not work. It did not work.
You have such a work ethic. You show up every day.
So I was just thirsty.
No, when I got back in town, they said, well, we have plenty of bartenders, but you can serve tables. And so I worked at the Gurley Street Grill.
Yeah.
And if you know the Gurley Street Grill, it has stairs in the front and stairs in the back, and it's a 100-plus-year-old building.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, serving pizzas was not my forte, and I ended up. There's a couple people that everybody knows in town that I probably splashed food on, and so I realized real quick that wasn't the right thing. Applebee's at the time opened up. 6-7 months after we moved here.
1996.
Same location?
Same location.
Same location.
And that place was the first big chain in our area.
Gotcha.
So it was a great opportunity. We had Home Depot, we had Walmart there, and it was kind of the hub of all those.
Walmart was
and
at
Costco as well.
Frontier
Yep.
Village, though, right?
Yep. And all those places were right in that area. So I had this really great blue collar worker group that came in every day at 4 o'clock. We had so much fun, and it was a great time.
Now, not being a frequent customer of Applebee's, what they have dollar margaritas or something.
Yeah.
But every time I've gone in there, every single time it's been with this guy, and he goes there more than I do because it was mom when she's up visiting and that. This guy being Matt, for listeners, I'm pointing. But every time I've gone in there, he goes, watch, there's that guy from Best Buy is going to show up. Without a doubt, that guy's sitting in the corner every single time.
Well, that was, seriously, my regulars, I'll plug Jeff because, he doesn't live here anymore, but he's up every weekend with his parents live here. But Jeff was at the corner of my bar all the time. And so, we had our regulars. It was a lot of fun, and it was across the street. It's still across the street from a 55-plus community. So we had, it was about the closest bar for those folks. So I had my early crowd. It was a lot of fun. And, we were able to, make ends meet when Jen was working on asphalt paving and I was thinking I was going to put myself through school.
Yeah.
I just decided that through school wasn't a good idea.
At that part, Brad, what was your goal? Where were you seeing yourself at 23, 24? Where were you seeing yourself in your 40s?
That's a trick question. I was seeing myself dead at 25. I don't know. I wasn't exactly thinking I was going to live this long.
Yeah.
He may have thought I would kill him by then.
Exactly, probably. So when I talk about
we might be related.
the 25 years of happy married bliss, there was at least 5 or so that I was a bartender in town. So there's that. But I can tell you that, by all means, it was good. It was a good learning ground. I don't know exactly how other people learn real estate, but when you're dealing with people in a bar, you can pretty much deal with them anywhere else. And I was going to school to be a teacher at the time. And so I thought, you know what, teaching, bartending.
What were you wanting to teach?
History.
Yeah. Nice.
Really?
Did you have a target for a grade level or?
Actually, I did, and then I did some student teaching or student observation at the time, and I was in a 9th grade class. And it scared the heck out of me. I'm sorry, but 9th grade girls are scary when you're 22 and you look like you're 15. So, by all means, it was not. It was something that I realized real quick. I'm not mature enough to hang out in the classroom.
Wasn't going to be a good fit for you.
No.
Yeah.
But again, all things are. I too believe that things go in an order for a reason.
Yeah.
And so, by all means, it's the right reason.
Now, you mentioned the other night some roots in Paulden as well. You were living in Chino, but what you said something about?
We have to drink if it's about Paulden.
Yeah. Oh. I lived there for 8 years.
yeah.
Why didn't I think of that rule?
Exactly. Yeah.
Man.
No, actually, so my parents moved out to Paulden. Gunsight Ranch is pretty big. So right across from Gunsight Ranch, and in fact, sharing a fence line, there's a place called the Roost, and the Roost is a hand built. Home built out of telegraph poles, and at the time it was corrugated tin roof. It was shaped like a barn.
It's old when it's not telephone poles.
No, it's telegraph poles. Yeah, and then railroad ties and things like that. So we built that when we were kids. My parents went out there and cash built a home on, I want to say 40 acres, 40 acres.
To live in, or were they building it
to live in? Yeah, to live in. And then so we were out there. I really communicate real well with people in the early 90s because I like 90s, 80s, because I grew up without electricity and water and some of those. We had a well and some other things.
Our children have enjoyed those stories over the years.
Those are the best. Whenever you can say I walked 10 miles uphill with snow on both sides, that type of stuff. It's a lot of fun.
I grew up. The house, my brother still lives in the house we all grew up in. My parents moved there, and this is a little real estate thing there. The houses were built in 56. They moved in 59, and for the whopping price of $8,000. And it was 4 houses away from my elementary school, kitty corner from my high school, and 2 blocks from my junior high.
Nice.
I was late to school from kindergarten through 12th grade. Every single day.
Yeah.
No
one's driving
day.
you anywhere.
Yeah.
No.
I believe that. The closer we move to the schools, the later the kids are.
The later kids get.
Man.
Yeah.
But so growing up in a metro area, I never thought I would leave. I loved living in an urban area.
Where did you grow up?
San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
It's just south of Oakland. And it was a small community where we lived, a small community of 6 high schools, 150,000 people. Each neighborhood had its own school. And I moved from there to Paulden in 2004, which was 3,900 people at the time.
Culture shock.
Big culture shock. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. And it didn't take me... I was so fed up with living in the metro area. It was either... and quite frankly, I was going to keel over... My wife was going to leave me, or we were going to have to make some changes, just because anyways, long
and if people roll through that town fast through the highway, if you go anywhere out there and you just stop the car, look around, it's probably the most phenomenal views of anywhere else in Yavapai County. It's gorgeous out there.
And now, especially as you know, if you don't agree, I'd love to hear your story. As soon as my son was born, everything changed, and I cannot fathom living in a city anymore. We had some opportunities to maybe take some jobs in the Phoenix area or down, even past Buckeye. It's like, no, absolutely not. This
Jen
is
and
where
I
we want
felt
to be.
the same way. I mean, we
Part of
knew
what
that we
moved us
wanted
here
a
was
we knew we wanted
a
a family, and we also knew that we were in Tempe. Well.
I can tell you, we
Jen
didn't think
knew
we'd
that
have this
we
big
wanted
of
to
a
have
family.
Yeah, Jen knew we
Nobody
wanted
thought
What'd you say?
that.
You had 9, 10 kids? What do you got?
6.
Only 6. It feels like more some days, but only 6.
We had been married 15 years, and my wife got pregnant. It was a complete shock. It was a complete surprise. The best thing that ever happened to us as a family, obviously, and he's the greatest kid in the world. No offense to your 6, but my son is, he's
Maybe
the greatest.
better than ours, you think?
He's the great. Not maybe. There's no maybe about it. He is.
Matt's met ours. I think he could vote.
He is
Matt, would
way.
you like to vote on
Matt.
who has better
Whose
kids?
kid is better? Who's?
They do.
But who signed your paycheck?
Oh, yeah. Our 2 boys, I have to tell you, we had a team member leave our team one day, and I went home and I said to the kids that somebody had left, and they look at me and they're like, Matt can never leave. Like, they adore Matt. Like, they think he is. Now, he might because they enjoy the same things.
I was going to say,
Even though
They're mentally
an
about
adult.
the same age.
But,
No, he's-
whatever. It's fine. He's 9 to 11.
My son, on the other hand, is a very good judge of character. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that could be the problem.
No, he does he
Wow.
does love Uncle Matt, but my son is way too intelligent He's not even like oh, my son's cute. But he's a handsome kid, very smart. I'm not sure he's mine. We'll have to check that out. He's
True.
no, he's just a really good kid, and I think, quite frankly, I think it's because, not joking, he's grown up with older people, so he's, at 4, he's carrying on full-blown conversations with my wife. I was lost. I couldn't follow him. But yeah,
It's a little advanced for you.
he is the more mature way, because my office is my home.
Yeah,
I work out of my house, so I spend a lot more time with him than most dads would, and he is definitely the mature one of our coupling. So my wife has to repair everything when she gets home. She's like, "Okay, what did you guys do today? Come here, let me explain
What did Dad
why."
tell you?
Yeah. Come here,
Let me
Anthony,
tell you
come
the
here.
right
Let me
thing,
explain
Just
why
don't
that's
hang out
not
with Daddy
right.
during the
exactly,
day.
yeah.
Watch
But
TV.
no, it's a lot of fun. That was one of the big changes we did. I've
Sure.
never had less than 2 full-time jobs. And it's a long and involved story, but I tend to work way too much.
So do we.
When I
right.
turned around and he was 5 and he was just born, all that happened too fast. I had to make some big changes, and one of the changes was switching my job to work out of my home so I could be with him more, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Paul in Chino Valley, even Prescott. I mean, I get comments all the time that, man, you guys live a slower lifestyle. You guys are real slow. That's the whole beauty of it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, slowing. It's hard for me to slow down, anyways.
Yeah.
I'm pretty, work a big long week and do a lot. Jen does way more than I do, so I can't complain. But it's definitely one of those things. Slowing down is not a problem in Prescott, especially if
It's just a problem for us.
It's just a problem for us.
And that's the thing.
Figure it out.
You have to work at it, because I know I'm the exact same way. I've always got to be doing. When I'm not doing something, I always feel like work-wise, I always feel like I'm slacking in some way. So okay, I got to fix that. Got to do this. Got to do that. And I have to step aside and go, no, you know what? Everything's getting turned off, and we're going to go outside and goof off.
I work, Jen volunteers and works, and then raises kids and everything else. So
I
there's a
think
whole
when
other thing.
when we had 6 young kids at home,
Yeah.
for the years that they all 6 were in the house, it felt like I had every excuse in the world not to work all the time, and it was my focus. And I did work. I've never not worked. I don't think I've ever not had a job in our whole marriage. I don't think, but I was able to. I was super blessed to work school hours and to be able to go pick my kids up and be able to do those things. And I was thankful that my degree was in something that I could be more flexible with.
Yeah.
I always worked in construction accounting, and it was able to be flexible. I worked for my best friends. They were always like family, and so it was super great for our kids growing up. But I think once I ended up with only 3 at home, I'm like, well, clearly I can work all the time. This is easy. Why don't people who have 3 kids think this is easy? But when you have 6 and you're juggling all of that, and for a season, those little ones aren't doing much. We are now in a season where they're back to doing a lot, and I don't have a driver. Like, nobody drives in our house right now,
Weird.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
We had drivers for several years, and so now I'm back to I have to pick them up from
You're the
school.
chauffeur?
I need to remember that
Now,
they need a ride.
At home still, how old's the oldest?
14.
Almost then. Almost.
She's going to be a
Almost.
freshman at
Yeah.
PHS.
Yeah.
Does she drive though? Have you let her go out?
I've told her. I said, Al, I met we have a person on our team who at 14 separated herself from her family, and when she did that, she was able to get her driver's license. State of Arizona, when you I don't know what the word is, but emancipate yourself.
Yeah.
You get to get your driver's license at that age. And I'm like, Allie, I'm considering emancipation only so you can drive your brother. And then we'll figure it out from there, honey. Because I am like, she is awesome and she's super responsible, but she's not going to be any help when she does turn 16 because she is involved in everything. Our older sons, especially our second son, had really not very much going on. And so he drove our kids everywhere. He will not listen to this, by the way. But he is just that kid. He's an artist.
Yeah, he's an artist and a Marvel genius.
Right. My other 5 children would tell you he's my favorite. But he is he was just always there. And he's that kid who would be texting me, I got the boys. Don't worry about it. Always
Nice.
under control, always knew what was going on, always super responsible. So he moved away a year and a half ago, which was super sad because
Yeah.
he graduated high school, which was awesome. But it's just kind of that letting go and realizing when he moved away, I'm like, what? I have to drive them?
Well, and our kids
What
have
is
never
this?
been not busy.
Yeah.
Never.
Girls are always at dance. Boys are always at Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, or some other
Sports.
sports or something
Yeah.
else. So, there's just always that transition of
Yeah.
doing a lot all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time I was, 7, 8, whatever, my older siblings were all learning to drive, getting their licenses, their permits and that. So my mom would take us out. Again, we lived in the city. So like on a weekend, there's an industrial park that was right down the street where we grew up. So all the streets are empty. There's nobody there. So she would just let us drive. So while they were learning to drive, I'd get behind the wheel and I'd learn to drive when I was 6, 7 years old. My wife does not approve of that. But our van is enough. Well, my wife can reach the pedals. So my son, 9, he can also reach the pedals. She doesn't listen to the show. We live.
So similar.
Police
Like, no
officers
one
don't
that he
either.
knows
Don't worry
listens
about
to a
it.
show.
They
That's
have no
interesting.
idea.
Okay.
We live on an acre, so I let him drive around the yard,
Oh,
and then
that's
a
good.
couple of
Yeah,
times,
private property.
since I do a lot of work for the town of Chino Valley, it wasn't on a street; it was in a parking lot. It was on a street.
Yeah.
I let him drive the van around.
Oh, sure.
But it's completely practical because I'm fully convinced very shortly we'll
Yeah.
be out somewhere and I'll keel over and he'll have to get home.
Right.
So
I will
it'll
tell
be
you,
of help.
though.
Yeah,
So
you were old when you
So
had them. You gotta plan
something
for these
about the
things.
laws of physics. If you learn that early, so when I was a kid, we lived out in Paulden for a bit. My first vehicle was a 1950 truck. My second was a 1949 truck, and we just kind of did all over
1948 was the one you had when we
48.
were- Oh, wow.
Yeah, 48 when
48 Chevy.
If anybody's got a 48 Chevy out there, I'm a buyer. But
We
yeah,
would like to
definitely one of
purchase
those
it.
things that
Fully restored,
that
please.
We yeah, exactly. So.
There's that white in my neighborhood that you keep asking.
I know there
I
is one
know.
in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But no, it's one of those
I
things.
know a guy.
So at 14,
When are they not
13,
home?
12,
I know.
we had motorcycles at 11. And,
They were? Yeah.
so
During the
those are
day.
the types of things that you just do in the country. And,
I lived in the city and we used to fly around the town on
Yeah.
dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you-
and we
you know-
would not recommend that for
I don't
anybody
think
else.
Into barbed wire
nowadays, I don't think
fences.
that's the right move. I don't think. But
Nowadays.
but it's definitely one of those things that I think you had it easier because life was
Yeah,
just a little
yeah.
different,
Yeah.
back then, and by all means you learned all those things. I remember taking our daughter out for her first drive, and I'm sitting here going, I don't think she's been behind any motor anything
And-
ever. And so
He made her drive the lawnmower. We have a picture of her on the riding mower, and
Yes,
Brad's like,
yes,
she was
the
so
lawn-
terrible today. She is now stuck driving the riding mower.
Or worse yet, they learn to drive on a video game
Right.
and think,
Yeah.
Yes.
well, if I run into the wall, all
It's
I have
gonna
to do
be
is press
fine.
reset.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
when the lawnmower doesn't work without the blades going, you're not
Right.
driving anything else.
Right. So our daughter moved away at 14. She is a ballet dancer. Couldn't
Oh, wow.
really proceed in Prescott anymore with her
Yeah.
ballet training. And so she moved away at 14 and lived in Phoenix with the host family. And then we bought a house
Oh,
down
how
in the valley.
neat.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it, honey? And so
Well, no, I mean,
It's good for her.
Yeah,
without
in
a
the
doubt.
arts
No
like
doubt.
that. It's
Yeah.
so great to have an
So-
opportunity like that.
she moved in with her brother. We bought a house, and Brandon was in college and didn't want to live in housing anymore. So
Yeah.
we bought a house, and they lived together. And Brandon would drive her to dance school, and she did online high school. But she turned 15 and a half when she lived there, and we're like, well, you need to get a permit.
Yeah.
So Brandon can stop driving you eventually. And she got her permit. I don't even remember when she had to come home to get it so we could sign and everything.
Yeah.
And we tried to drive with her a few times, but we didn't see her. She lived in the valley.
Yeah.
So we hired a driving school, and she calls me one day and says, I just drove all the way to Anthem on I-17 and the 51 and the 101, and I'm like, don't call me anymore. I don't want to know what you're doing.
Well, the
like,
good-
you're freaking me out. The
the good
next time
part
she
about
texts
that-
me and says, I'm not calling, but I went to downtown Phoenix. All the one-way streets. I'm like, please don't tell me, And she's a great driver. I'd say
really
she's
is.
one of our better drivers.
Although
Clearly,
she
we're not
drives
as
like
good of a
at,
trainer.
105.
She's
I don't know
so
how.
fast.
I have no idea how fast
She's
she
so
drives.
fast. It's
The
crazy.
good part about driving in Phoenix
Yeah.
is that depending on the time of day, you're never going more than like 4 miles an hour. So
Right.
yeah,
Well, it was
so
funny
with
because
her, 'cause she is
she is a
lead
quick driver,
And-
and she would blame us. You know,
Yes.
her teacher would say, "You're driving way too fast." She's like, "That's because my parents and my brother drive really fast." And-
always blame the person
Right.
who's not
And
there.
And her
and-
brother wasn't old enough to be her person in
Gotcha.
the car. You
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
be
yeah.
21, and Brandon was only 19. So the only time she got to drive was with this other person who was
The instructor?
who we paid, you know,
Instructor,
the
yeah.
instructor person. And that poor woman probably thought we were like the worst people ever.
Like the other kids got, a vehicle that would not go over maybe 50 or 55.
I still have one of those.
Yes, she inherited the Lexus. And I was like,
Ooh.
wait a second.
That has
I think
too much power.
That's going to go way too fast for you. So
She's
yeah,
fast.
Yeah, she's definitely that driver. So
Now she's in Philadelphia
yeah.
at a ballet school. She
Oh,
just graduated
how
high
neat.
school,
Yeah.
and she's in Philadelphia.
Now, what's
So-
what's the end goal for that? Performing or
Yeah.
teaching or
No,
Performing.
performing.
Neat.
For as long as she can perform,
Yeah, yeah.
Until she can't perform anymore. So, I don't know. We're not sure. Our end goal might be different than Caitlin's.
My end goal
no,
is
how-
not to be on Dad's payroll.
Dad's payroll for the
That would
rest
be
of her
nice.
life.
Yeah.
No, but how neat that she
She's
was
a good
able to
girl.
pursue
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to pursue a career in the arts, but it was not ballet. I did not.
You kind of look like a ballet.
like a
It was,
ballet
I was thinking
dancer.
ballet or jockey. I
Yeah,
hadn't
one or
quite
the other,
figured.
yeah.
No, but I
Really big horse.
Clydesdales.
Clydesdale.
I did a lot of practice out in front of the Kmart in Hayward. It just ran out of quarters.
Yeah.
But no, to be able to do something that you love as a career and have the
And an
support
artist.
of
Yeah.
and as an artist
Yeah.
and have the support of the family to do that.
We've been
'Cause,
blessed to do that. I mean,
very nice.
Kind of a nice thing.
Certainly, our business has allowed her to do it.
Yeah.
Sure,
by being
sure.
in the business we're in. But at the same time, she
She does the work.
a lot of people think, well, we just pay for it, but she gave up a lot to
No.
do it.
Yeah.
To be able to give up high school, like she left as her very beginning of her sophomore year.
Yep.
And she gave up having a high school normal life, whatever normal is, which maybe we don't want for the kids. But
Yeah.
but she really made a lot of sacrifices. She didn't grow up with her little brothers. We have two little boys that she missed growing up with.
Yeah.
And she missed a lot of things about being a regular kid
Yeah.
by making the choice she made.
Well, and when kids and when families are able to do that, whatever it happens to be, when they take something they love and that's going to be what comes to mind is like gymnastics, hockey,
Right.
usually in the sports, but also in the arts, where at 4 a.m. you're doing the practices, you're doing this, then you go to school, and then you've got the practices after and the competitions or whatever it is that you happen to be pursuing. But to be able to do that and not have to look back, in your 30s going, boy, I wonder what would have happened if I had pursued that.
Right.
It's neat to be able to have the opportunity to do that. And you mentioned she's able to do that, and the other kids are able to explore different things because of the business you're in. I want to get back
No
to
doubt, yeah.
the Bergamini Group
Yeah,
again. What's the
yeah.
website, Matt?
Welcome to Prescott.com.
Welcome to Prescott.
Yeah. Welcome to Prescott.com. Yeah.
Now,
Or
when did you
Or
everything
everythingprescott.com.
when did you go in?
BradBergamini.com.
When did you go into that line?
About 17 years ago.
Which was what? What year?
Gosh, 2002.
2002.
Two.
Yep.
Heyday for this area. There was a big boom in the early '80s. In the early 2000s.
2002 was kind of was a launching.
Yeah.
It was good. 2005, it was stupid. 2006 was
Crazy.
nuts.
And then,
2000
very shortly after that, 9, 10.
late 2007.
7, 8,
Yeah.
Is that when it
9.
started to
9,
turn?
10, 12. Yeah, we were good at selling stuff. We sold almost everything we owned. So, yeah, no, it was definitely...
Back to that flea market where your parents used to jump you off
Yeah, the
at.
BMW, some other things
Yeah.
that we had to get rid of.
We had a son December
Oh, no.
1st.
Oh,
I know.
wait, you scared me.
It's crazy.
We had a son. We sold him.
Yeah,
we sold him.
I got scared
I
there
got
for
a
a
really
minute.
good price for
Yeah.
that boy.
It's funny.
Yeah, I know.
Our fifth son, it was born in December 21st of 2007.
Yep.
And our older kids, by then, we were hurting pretty bad financially, like as far as the market had
Yeah.
pretty
It
much
just crashed, yeah. There was
dropped.
nobody buying or selling.
And we hadn't really figured out a strategy to move forward by that point. And the kids remember, our three older kids remember being that Quentin was their Christmas present.
Yeah. You remember that year that we got a kid for Christmas?
Remember when we had that brother for Christmas?
that was
That's
nice,
all.
yeah.
That's it.
But, you know,
I'm like,
I
Christmas,
can
you have a
honestly
brother.
tell you though, I was in my 30s at that point in time, you know, and I knew a bunch of agents, real estate agents that were, you know, a lot older than I was, and it ruined them. It ruined them. Now, for us, we just bounce back and we, you know, because adapt, and because we know people and
hopefully
you know,
learn.
again, hopefully learn some things and good customer service and you know, client care and things like that. I mean, by all means, you know, you can build a business off that.
And you mentioned customer service.
Sure.
In a town with the history that Prescott does, any towns that are cities that go back generations upon generations, there's always families, groups of families, names that have been around for a long time. And especially here, I noticed it when I moved to this area. I noticed that there was a lot of the families who had been doing work with each other, whether it be trucking, whether it be real estate, construction. So it would, you know, there were those handshake deals. There were those long time.
We call it the good old boy network.
Yeah, well, that's got kind of a negative sometimes, but
it's not.
But it's great
it's not.
because that's how you find work now.
Correct.
That changes in 2019. You've got to adapt things like social media. You've got to work with websites.
And honestly, you know, I can tell you that there's some positive negative of being a bartender for 11 years and being local. Yeah. You know, people know you and they're like, well, this is a great guy, but I don't know if I want him to do real estate with me, which is fine. I mean, that was okay at the time. More positives than negatives, without a doubt. But I do think that there was at that point in time a very close knit kind of who was doing what when. I think it's a lot freer now. I think the consumer knows a lot more. I mean, it's a lot more transparent. You can go online now and figure out. I mean, I get people calling me going, "Oh, so I hear you have 6 kids," and I'm like, "Oh, really? I don't know where I have that." But you know, by all means, anybody can search a name and find out exactly anything that they want to know about you anymore. And that wasn't the case in 2002.
And anything they want to know about houses.
I was going to say, not just about you.
No, right.
You can go on and get a full education on certain things
or
through
miseducation.
YouTube. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
by all means, now it's, you know, we used to be the keepers of information.
Yeah.
Back in the Yellow Book days, you call a real estate agent, you say, "Hey, I'm coming to town. What do you have?" And we kept all of it at that point in time. We don't have that information all to ourselves anymore. But I can tell you, the information that's out there may not be all that correct. So now it's just a matter of let's filter through the information that you have and what I have, and let's talk about what we can do for you.
And it still comes down to when somebody is making, realistically, the largest purchase of their life.
No doubt.
They want to know that when I'm talking to this person on the phone or across the table, I can trust this person. And I know where they're coming from. Yeah. So regardless of what you're getting through, you know, websites and blogs,
we
and
all
forums
look really good
yeah.
online.
Yeah.
No, you have not seen my website, have you?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
There are no pictures of me. So
we have a lot of buyer's agents on our team that are new to our industry, learning every day. And I was just talking to Rebecca, and she was saying,
"She's right there."
I don't know.
That her
that's
over there?
Rebecca over there at the bar.
Who
Hi,
refuses
Rebecca.
to come over?
Come say hi.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about
you from here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We were just talking about the fact that she just learned so much in a single day, and I agree with her. But I told her, I said, you know what? I just learned so much in that same single day.
17 years still learning.
Real estate never gets. We never get where we know everything. We never get where we're used to not learning. Like, we want to learn all the time. But one of the things that we have a client right now that is in North Carolina, and she's a real estate agent in North Carolina. And she says to me, "What has happened in Arizona that your contracts are so complex? Like, why is it like this?" And I said, well, you know, I mean, probably litigation. Litigation generally drives all contracts that are written. And then it gets more and more complex the more litigation that occurs. And she says, well, I would never do real estate in your state. It's so complex. And I said, you know, as much as people maybe don't want to deal with a salesperson and they don't want to work with a realtor because they think, oh, they're just going to try to sell me, it really is a complex situation.
Yeah.
And it's a very hard thing. And I mean, we work through some very difficult circumstances and very difficult contracts that
emotions
don't
are
always
a little
come-
higher when you're
Right.
talking
Well,
about
of course
somebody's
they are.
somebody's
as well they should
investments.
be, and
Sure.
they should have someone who can guide them through the contract without the emotion.
Yep.
And they can experience the emotion. It's their home. It's a lot that goes on, but we should be able to stay at the level at which we are the knowledgeable party, and we're trying to help
Yeah.
them and not be adding complex things to their circumstances, because it's already stressful and already difficult.
The perfect environment is when you, either my client as a buyer or my client as a seller, goes, oh my gosh, that was so easy.
Yeah.
That's the perfect situation, and that's how it should look. If it looks complex, then we've
Right.
done something wrong.
So would
you
you
know-
say that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just today, we closed on a house that was not easy. It was very complex,
Yeah.
and the sellers did an amazing job of
They did a
doing
great
everything
job,
they
yeah.
needed to do to sell that house, and they were phenomenal. But yet, when I called them and told them, we closed, we're done, we're so excited for you, they said, you know what, we couldn't have done it without you. And the only
Nice.
reason they say that isn't because we did anything extraordinary necessarily, but we treated them well throughout the
Yeah.
process, and we encouraged them that they could make their own decisions, and that they could choose what needed to be done. And they made the decisions they made, and I think they did the right thing in being able to make those choices. But they were even
And-
though it was complex and it was very difficult and stressful for them, they came out on the other side being like, okay, we're good. And we appreciate all your help. And it's not always easy.
Yeah.
Real estate's complex. It is confusing.
And that's where no matter what level of technology and information that's coming at you from every side, that's where that personal service comes into play, where it's like, okay,
No doubt.
I've got all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Now how do I filter it? How do I make it usable?
So-
And that's where
When
good folks
you're the
come in.
last of 7 kids, you've got at least one older brother who goes, so this real estate thing, are you worried about the internet taking your job? I'm like,
What am I, a travel agent?
Yeah, exactly. The answer
Probably
is
just weren't worried.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely not, because I
Yeah.
can tell you that no matter what, there's still an interpretation and a lot of information that is really, really, really complex.
Now,
and we can deal with that.
Now, having hear you say
Yeah.
that, I will tell you about this one idiot I know. I won't tell you his name.
Matt Henshaw?
No, it was me.
Oh.
It was me. I bought my house when we moved out here on the internet.
Oh, I heard about this. I heard that you were sight unseen.
Sight unseen.
Good for you.
We just
Unrepresented?
needed.
You did not have a realtor?
He had a realtor,
Oh,
and she
okay.
goes, "You can't do that. We don't do this." My brother, who had moved
Sight
to
unseen,
Prescott,
yeah.
he had moved to Prescott several months before I did, and it, just by a chance, my job was going to transfer me up here. I said, "Yeah, I've heard of Prescott." I ended up going to Paulden. So I looked online, found a house, and called my brother. Says, "Do me a favor, drive over there with the realtor, and tell me what it looks like." He goes, "Well, when are you coming out to look at it?" I says, "I can't." So he's standing there on the phone with the realtor, and I says, "Okay, look up." And he goes, what do you mean look up?" I said, "Look up." He goes, "Okay." I'm in the living room. I'm looking up. I go, "Can you see the sky?" And he goes, "No, what do you mean? I'm inside." I go,
I buy it.
As long as you can't see the sky standing in the living room, I'll
You're the
take
perfect
it.
client, by the way.
And and then the next home that we're currently in, tell me if this is a good reason to buy a house. We were too cheap to move. Is that a good reason? We just didn't
Yeah,
want to
why
pack.
not?
A good reason to buy a house.
Why not?
So you were renting
We were
it?
renting,
Uh-huh.
and we were in there for 2 years. No, 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. We did a 1-year lease, and then I thought we did a 3-year lease. So a couple Februarys ago, I get home and I go, "Hey, Alexandra was the woman we bought it from, and I tell my wife, I said, I don't want to move. Let's talk to Alex. We've been here 2 years. She hasn't raised the rent. Let's see if we can put out a schedule, with some good increments, and see if we can make it worth her while to give us like a 5-year lease. I don't want to move again." And she goes, "Well, you better hurry." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "The lease is over in a couple of weeks at the end of the month." I said, "No, we got another year left on it." And she goes, "No, we don't." I pulled out the paperwork, and sure enough, lease was up. So I called the landlady, and she goes, I've been meaning to get with you because I'm going to sell the house. And I don't want to be she had a couple other rentals she had sold. And I says, I don't want to, she goes, would you be interested in buying it? And I wasn't at the time. And then she made us such a great offer. It was like, we can't afford to move. And it was worthwhile because it's a big house. It's fairly large.
What's large?
2,600 square feet.
Oh,
two bedroom. Two bedroom.
Yeah.
And she had said if... Yeah, Rebecca left her phone. Look through it, Matt. See what's in there. But it's she had said, because if somebody's looking for a house with this many square feet, we're going to have to do some building and build out another room. She goes, I don't want to dump the money in it. You guys, it's just the three of you. It'll be perfect for you. So we were able to work out a deal, and it's...
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. We were very fortunate that she was able to work with us, and we were able to not have to pack up all my garbage. 2,600 square
I
feet.
never want to move again.
No,
so I'm
yeah,
with you.
no, I
For
get
me,
ya.
that's huge. I've never lived in anything bigger than 1,200.
Yeah.
That's pretty big for three people. I gotta say.
that's pretty
That's
good
a pretty
size.
And
decent
two
sized house
bedroom.
for
And you're on an acre plus,
On an
right?
acre,
Yeah.
and then the garage /
Yeah,
barn is another
absolutely.
1,200
Wow.
square feet.
Yeah, we bought our house we're in now that is like kind of my dream house that Brad
Oh, God.
bought for me. And
That is.
and right when we moved in July, and our two children moved out in August. Caitlin wasn't supposed to leave. Normally sophomores in high school don't move out. And
I did.
Our oldest
Don't
son
ever
was
do a
going to
listing.
college.
Don't ever do a listing presentation to somebody that you're going to buy their house to,
Right.
because then the cost is a little higher than you expected.
Right.
But my wife got a dream house, and we're in a place that
Right. I do
obviously
love
we
it.
love. So
I really
and
love
it's
it.
close to
And
her mom and some other things. So it's
When we
great.
moved, we bought the house like in April, but we did some work on it and stuff over the summer. You
Yeah.
know, and then we moved in July, and our youngest son came to me one night just in tears and said, because our daughter was moving out to go to ballet school, and our oldest son was going away to college, and he's like, "Can we move back to the other house because I think they'll stay?" I'm like, they're not going to stay, baby. They're not
They
moving
grow up.
because they don't like our new house.
Yeah.
They're kind of mad that we have the new house and they're moving. But he wanted them to stay so bad. Like, please don't let them leave. And if we move back to our old house, will they stay with me? I'm like, nope,
Oh, that's
sorry.
neat.
But
Yeah, I have informed my wife that we will not be moving, and she does not. She's a very practical person. She's not much for joking around, and she has no sense of humor. Is basically what it is. And I told her, I said,
She doesn't listen to this, does
No.
she?
Wait a minute.
About to say,
He likes her?
"Oh, I like her too. She's not, she doesn't joke around much."
And yet she's married to you.
Yeah, it doesn't
The
make any
comedian.
sense. I told her, I said, she has no idea I do that either.
She's never seen a show.
I just
No.
go out late at night on Thursdays. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's kind of like work. I'm working on getting out of the house. I told her, I says, I'm not moving again. I like the house, the layout. I got my shop out in the garage. I've got a little recording spot out there. And I said, so, when I was joking. I says, when I keel over, I've got a spot in the backyard. Just my neighbor John's got a backhoe. I says, call John and have him dig a hole and throw me in it. And she looked dead serious. She goes, oh, no, when you die, me and Anthony are moving. And she was
So
not
you'll
joking.
be buried with other people.
And it wasn't if or
It's when.
It was
Right. It's like, what time is it?
Yeah, it was as if she's got it marked on her calendar
Yeah, exactly.
with a big smiley
Yeah.
face.
Yeah,
I don't
It's before
understand.
It's that
Anthony
day.
grows up. Did you notice? Anthony will still be at home.
Yes,
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's before he grows up.
yeah.
That this is
You might want to check your food for under the steak or something like that.
I will
yeah.
tell you this. I ride a motorcycle. I almost laid it down a few months ago, and I called her up. I was kind of shaking, and I called her. I says, everything's fine. I almost wrecked, but I need you to come out here. Not a joke. First words out of her mouth is, how's the bike? It's fine. I'm okay, too. She
Yeah,
goes,
yeah.
but the bike's expensive. I'll be there in a minute. I was like,
One
Are you
arm,
well
one arm
insured?
Matt is
No,
okay.
I'm
That's
not.
what I want to know.
That's
Because he's
if-
well insured.
if I had a whole bunch of life insurance, I would at least say, Well, okay,
Right.
she's getting some. Her win is that I'm not there anymore. It's
Right.
basically that's
Right.
kind of the
And
win.
Can she still cash in on the bike?
Yeah.
That's
No,
the
not if I
question.
lay it down.
Right.
She keeps reminding me, there's no helmet law in Arizona.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
You're
Yeah.
okay.
Let the wind
I'm
blow
the
through
person
your
who's
hair.
like, does our life insurance policy allow for motorcycle riding? Because if not, you're not getting.
You're not
it.
gonna
Well,
buy it.
I'm not a motorcycle fan.
I'm probably not getting a bike anyways.
Well, you have scars from earlier bike
Yeah.
life.
I've
that-
wrecked a few bikes.
Street, dirt, both.
bikes.
Dirt,
Dirt.
yeah.
Bikes, yeah. I do love a dirt bike.
Yeah.
Sure, run away, chicken.
Oh, they're so cute.
Well, we've been taking up your whole afternoon here. There's a lot of fun. Plug
it's
away
fun.
again. Where can folks find out what you got
welcome
going on?
to Prescott, everything Prescott, or type in Bergamini in any search engine, and you'll find us. Facebook,
and you can see some
Instagram, Twitter.
fabulous photographs of your houses
by Matt Henshaw.
By Matt Henshaw.
By the
Our
famous
hero.
Matt Henshaw.
Oh, should we put
who
your name
actually
on it?
has a really nice podcast,
Real Film Nerds.
Real Film
Real
Nerds,
Film Nerds.
which is
realfilmnerds.com.
kind of really, and you can go on Facebook and listen to it too. Real Film Nerds.
I can't. I'm not
You
old
can't.
enough.
Well, you don't have the 13-year-old. 13-year-old. You can
Well,
find
and
us there.
I do have to plug our PUSD Education Foundation
yes.
again.
Yes, please.
I've been on the board of the Education Foundation since we started in 2015. I was one of the founding members, and it's been really significant in the changes in PUSD. I think Joe Howard does a great job leading our school district, and we want to have the best school district in the state. And we do what we can to make a difference, and it's been awesome.
been great.
It's been so
Yeah.
much fun to see the teachers. We do innovative teaching grants. We have put money into the schools as far as making their campuses not as poor as they used to be.
anytime you see
Our-
PUSD Education Foundation come out and support, we have what was it? Party in the Pines.
Party in the
Yes.
Pines, Whiskey Off-Road.
Whiskey Off-Road.
So that we've been
The golf
super
tournament,
fortunate to be
yeah.
the charity for both of those events for the last
Very
couple
nice.
of years.
And those
we-
are both events that get people not just from around the state, but from around the Southwest.
Oh, without a doubt.
come up,
absolutely.
without
a doubt.
We have met. First of all, I've not been involved in the Whiskey Off-Road before, the bike race, and I am so amazed by that mountain
Yeah.
biking community.
Yeah.
What an amazing group of people. They come out, they just are so fun to be around. They're from all over, and they come
Yeah.
here to race in our beautiful city that we live in, and they are amazed by it. Most of them are like, your elevation's a little higher than I expected.
Yeah.
Not the pros, of
little
course. The
thinner
pros
air.
get it.
If you're asking for plugs,
But-
there's one other plug I wouldn't mind doing
Please.
because I've been involved with the
Oh, I'm sorry. That's all the time we got.
Sorry. That's
We're
where
done.
Yeah,
Sorry
we're
about
done.
that.
We're
We're
out.
wrapping up.
The Prescott Area Board of Realtors. I've been involved as a volunteer there for 9 years?
long time.
As the board president for quite some time, and so it's definitely one of those things that realtors are professionals. I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just they look at HGTV and they go, "Oh my gosh, they just show houses all day." No, I mean, by all means, if you're gonna do what we're doing, use
Yeah.
a realtor. And if it's not us, use another realtor.
Yeah.
Because the fact is that we are educated, we know what we're doing, and by all means, there's some quality there.
Again, without fail, barring any really weird circumstances, the largest purchase you'll ever make. Why not
Largest.
consult
Yeah.
somebody who knows what
and
they're doing?
sometimes the largest purchase, investment. And by all means,
Yeah.
real estate's an investment.
Yeah.
More billionaires are made from real estate than any other investment avenue.
Now, Jen, let me ask you, when he was the president of that, did he make you play Hail to the Chief on your phone whenever you walked in the room?
I wish, Mr.
Yeah.
President, is
Mr.
what I like to
President.
say.
He would know that would not happen.
No. Yeah,
And
no.
did
I
you
have
want to
say,
impeach him from the living
We were
room?
kind of celebrating when he was done being president. It was a great time.
January
and
1st.
It was January 1.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think our market was way better off because of all the people who have served, not just Brad.
Sure.
A lot of
Yeah,
people have served
sure.
on that. But it really does make a difference, and I think our public doesn't really know
Yeah.
the impact realtors have on our community. But at the same time, it's pretty
Here's
significant.
an interesting fact. Do you know that 75% of realtors give to local charities? 75%.
What about them other 25
I don't know. They
deadbeats?
suck.
Yeah,
I don't know
we're
what they
not.
are.
We don't do business.
But I
with
can
them.
tell you that it's realtors.
They work for the other group.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But no, without a doubt,
Yeah.
they give. They're involved with their community.
Our
It makes
Realtor
sense.
Association has supported public schools
Yeah,
like
without a doubt.
immensely
Yeah.
throughout the years. We've done several bonds and overrides, and
Yep.
they've always supported us, knowing that strong public schools make for a community
Yes.
that people will move to.
And it makes sense. The realtors need to know the community. They need to know the population.
Right.
They need to invest in it because otherwise, housing prices drop if it's in a cruddy area and if things
doubt.
aren't supported.
Right.
And that's one thing, again, coming from a larger area, one of the reasons why we wanted to make the move and one of the reasons definitely why we stay is because the people that are doing things in the community are folks that you can see at a local restaurant, at a local coffee
doubt.
shop, whatever. And they're invested in the community. It's not like that in the larger metro areas. So if you're looking for a great place just to visit, maybe not everybody move here. But come on up.
We're kind of for everybody.
Yeah,
moving here.
and
I don't know.
you don't know the
Matt
same
and I
people.
just had
You
this
don't know the same
conversation
people I
today.
know. There's a lot of
Some
people
of them
that
may need
you
to go
don't
away.
want.
No,
You do not want them up
No,
here.
the
Trust
thing
me.
is what's interesting is we get a lot of these comments that we're being run over and taken over.
We're becoming
honestly,
California.
you came from California.
Yeah.
Why'd you come here? Because you're a refugee. Really,
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways.
That and I was
so-
escorted to the state line,
exactly.
but that's a whole
Like,
other
don't you
podcast.
go that way. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, think about it. The people that are moving here, they really want community. They
Yeah.
want what Prescott has to offer. And so in a lot of ways, we are the safe haven for a lot of folks that come this way.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for just experiencing new stuff and getting out and meeting folks and getting to know why people are in the business they chose, why they decided to move somewhere. And without that, one, there is no town, there is no downtown. It just becomes another
Dead
suburb
place,
or
yeah.
another strip mall,
Yeah.
and that's one of the beauties of not just Prescott but the entire area. Go down to Mayer, out to Chino Valley. Oh, speaking of which, sponsor of the show, I forgot. Big Daddy's Barbecue, BDEBBQ.com.
Hey, we got a plug for them.
The official, unofficial sponsor of the show. Yeah.
We have a plug for them.
Yeah.
Actually, we need them to do our client appreciation
So
party. in
every year
September.
we do a client appreciation
If you're
party,
listening.
and we have over 200 people. I've sold over 2,000 homes in the area, so we have a lot of folks that join us on our client appreciation party in the fall, and they do a phenomenal job. And if you haven't had their barbecue, you're missing out.
Yeah, our
BDE.
clients love
Yeah.
their barbecue.
BDEBBQ.com. They got some funky hours though. Lunchtime Tuesday through Friday, but they are open late on Fridays. They got live music out on that patio right there in Chino Valley. One other plug because he saved me the other day when I broke down. My good friend Avery at Select Auto in Chino Valley, 1264 South Highway 89, Unit J. Give Avery and Frank. Actually, I think Frank's the brains of the outfit.
I doubt
Select
that.
Automotive. You know Frank.
Oh, yeah, I know Frank.
Just so you know,
probably
the
Avery.
brains of the outfit, in case you're.
But yeah, I was heading out. I had a job in Phoenix last week, and I broke down heading out of Chino on the highway, and Avery and Frank took
So
care of
we
me.
have an
Good to
employee
know.
that has a car that's older than dirt that they keep
His
alive.
name may or may not be Matt Henshaw.
No. I won't tell you the name because she'd be embarrassed. But they keep that vehicle on the road.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to have that
Oh, it's not
kind of
you.
connection.
No, but I will tell
It's
you,
our
for a while,
amazing other employee.
before I had a truck, I used to have to borrow Matt's older truck, the one he had before this one. And like anything else, you borrow your truck, I'll make sure I bring it back with a tank of gas. Every single time I borrowed that thing, something would break.
Kind of like my
So
mower, Matt.
by the
did you
time
keep
I
letting
was
him borrow
done
it?
borrowing it, he had a brand new truck, pretty much. And it was things like door handles collapsing in your finger. I pulled the brake one time, and the plastic brake handle literally dissolved. No, dissolved in my hand.
Yeah.
I pushed his flasher button one time, and it dissolved into a red powdery substance. that Arizona sun will do that to
Well,
you.
don't shake my hand later on because there's something
Yeah.
wrong with your fingers.
No, it was the truck. Trust me.
That truck is running fine to this day.
Matt.
Oh no, it ran great.
How's my
It just-
mower doing?
Mower, I got
All right, good. Same thing
All
happened to
right.
the mower, so I get that. So
pain in the ass, but I got it.
I think
Well-
we feel that way about our kids' cars.
Oh,
Every time
you
we
said that
touch
about the
them, we're
kids.
like, oh gosh, what did you do to this car?
I thought she was going to say about the kids. Every time we touch
No,
them, something
kids'
falls
cars.
off.
breaks off the kids. I don't know what happens.
Well, I want to
Yeah.
thank you guys for spending some time
Oh,
at the
thank
Back
you.
Alley Wine Bar.
Thanks for finally having us.
No, that was
here.
fun. That was a lot of fun.
We've been
Thanks,
talking
Matt
about it for a long
Hinshaw,
time.
for making it happen.
I'll make fun of you in the outro.
In the outro? Okay.